Yo, what's going on YouTube? It is your boy Ears. Hope you guys are having a great rest of your day, start to your day, whatever time it may be. And in this video, we're going to be going over the new top 10 best class setups in Modern Warfare after the new update. Now, I rearranged and re-edited all of my class setups to accommodate for the new meta in this game. Now, with all that being said, the like goal on this video is going to be 350 likes. If you guys are enjoying the best class setups, the best settings, the tips and tricks, or want to see any more gameplay breakdowns where I analyze and break down my gameplay, or potentially analyze and break down your gameplay to help you guys improve, make sure you guys absolutely smash like button the video, subscribe to the channel, and also turn on those post notifications. I'm going to add these classes are perfect if you guys are trying to increase your KD or go for your first snoop. Now, with all that being said, let's get right into discussing why these are the new top 10 best class setups to use after the new update. So the first class setup we're looking at is going to be a specialist class setup. This is going to revolve around using overkill, running 2 meta weapons in order to be able to run a gun effectively and overall dominate the lobby. Now, the first weapon we're going to be using on this overkill class is going to be the M4A1. Now, for the M4, we're not going to run a muzzle, but we are going to select a barrel attachment. Now, for the barrel attachment, we're going to be running the stock M16 Grenadier barrel, and this is going to allow us to have increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, as well as increased recoil control. In my opinion, this is the absolute best barrel to run on the M4 because it's going to allow this weapon to be a straight laser at medium to long ranges, and that's exactly where this weapon is going to shine. Now, for the second attachment, we're going to be selecting the Merc foregrip. This is going to add recoil control as well as hip fire accuracy, and as a hidden bonus, it actually adds mobility to this weapon. This is going to complement the run and gun aggressive style of play you're going to have to adapt with this class setup, and I absolutely love it, and that's exactly why this is going to be on my class. Now, for the third attachment, we're running the 60 round magazine. Now, this is a very good attachment for run and gun aggressive style players because you're able to take out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time without actually having to reload, and it just makes the M4A1 a lot more forgiving to use. Now, for the fourth attachment, we're going to be running the stippled grip tape, again to complement the run and gun aggressive style of play. It's going to add aim down sight speed as well as sprint to fire speed, a perfect attachment for an aggressive player. Now, for the fifth and final attachment on this class, we're actually running the no stock, which is going to add additional movement speed as well as additional aim down sight speed. This is the best M4 class setup if you guys are trying to run and gun and you guys are using a specialist. I'm also going to be providing another M4A1 class setup in this video if you guys do not like running specialist, so stay tuned. But if you guys are running specialist, I highly recommend going ahead and checking out that M4 class. Now, for my secondary weapon, I always run an MP5. The MP5, in my opinion, is the best SMG to use. If you guys are running specialist, it's reliable, it's consistent, and I can always fall back on it. Let me go ahead and explain what attachments I'm running on this weapon. So for the MP5, we're not going to run a muzzle, we're going to jump to the barrel, and we're going to run the monolithic integral suppressor. This is going to add sound suppression as well as bullet velocity. Now, you can run and gun in the enemy spawn without being heard often, which is going to in turn allow us to build up a streak a lot easier, and on top of that, it adds bullet velocity, which makes this weapon feel like it's killing a lot faster, and that's why we're running this barrel on this weapon. Now, for the underbarrel, again, I'm running the Merc foregrip because it's going to add recoil control as well as hip fire accuracy and that additional movement speed increase. Overall, a fantastic attachment to use on any SMG for that matter. For the third attachment, I'm running the 45 round magazine so I can have more bullets in a clip so I can take out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time without actually having to reload. And for my fourth attachment, again, I'm running the stippled grip tape so I can have aim down sight speed increased as well as an increase to sprint to fire speed. Very important for all SMGs. And then finally, I have on the F-TAC collapsible stock for additional movement speed and additional aim down sight speed. This is a god tier run and gun aggressive style MP5 build that I recommend you guys using on all of your overkill specialist classes. Now, for the perk, obviously I have to run EOD, overkill as well as amped. Amped is going to be really important so you can swap weapons faster. And for my specialist unlocks, I have on Quick Fix, Ghost, as well as Cold Blooded. And for my lethals, I'm running C4 as well as a stem shot for my tactical. The perks, the lethal, and the secondary are going to be the exact same for all of my specialist builds here in Modern Warfare because it just works and it allows you to attack and win gunfights in every single scenario in this game, and that's exactly why I love it. Now for a second specialist build, we're going to actually go ahead and check out the Kilo 141. The Kilo is a fantastic AR that you can use if you guys are trying to be aggressive because it has an attachment that complements this weapon perfectly. Now we're not going to run a muzzle, but we are going to jump and use a barrel, and we're going to be running the Syngard Arms Whisperer barrel. This is actually going to add sound suppression as well as bullet velocity. A fantastic attachment on this gun. You can run and gun in the enemy spawn without being heard often, which in turn leads to longer streaks a lot easier, and it adds bullet velocity, which makes this weapon feel like it's killing a lot faster. Fantastic. And I run this on my Kilo 24/7. Now for my second attachment, I'm running the Merc foregrip again because this is a run and gun aggressive style class. I want to have additional recoil control as well as hip fire accuracy. This is the best underbarrel to use on the Kilo 141. The Kilo's hip fire is incredible. I love it, and this weapon is so satisfying to get kills with. Now for my third attachment, I'm running the 60 round magazine, just like how I run it on the M4, so I can take out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time without accident reload. Just an overall fantastic attachment for us aggressive run and gun style players. For my fourth attachment, I'm running the stippled grip tape again for additional aim down sight speed as well as additional sprint to fire speed. You really cannot go wrong with this attachment, and it just complements the Kilo 141's aggressive style of play perfectly. And then finally, I'm running the no stock attachment so I can have additional movement speed as well as additional aim down sight speed. Just the tip of the spear on this weapon just makes it absolutely amazing. Now this is going to be my Kilo 141 specialist class setup. Again, I have the same MP5, the perks, as well as the lethal and tactical when I do run specialist in this game. Now we're looking at my third specialist class, which is going to be a little bit of a change of pace. I'm actually running an M14, the EBR 14, which is incredible and is seriously underrated here in Modern Warfare. Now for this weapon, I'm not running a muzzle, but I am gonna run a barrel. I'm gonna run the Forged Tac Precision 22-inch long barrel. This is gonna add damage range, bullet velocity, as well as recoil control. This is very important on this weapon because it does have a lot of vertical recoil, which we need to tone down significantly so this weapon will be easier to use at medium to long ranges, and that's exactly why we're running this attachment on the EBR 14. Now to complement that and make this weapon a little bit easier to use, we're also running the Merc foregrip, which is going to also reduce that vertical recoil more, as well as add hip fire accuracy, which is very important for this gun because sometimes you can get a lucky hip fire headshot, which is going to lead to a one-shot kill. Absolutely amazing, and I do love to have this on my class setup at all time. Now for the third attachment, I'm running the 20 round magazine, just so if I miss a couple of shots, I have 20 rounds in reserve. Essentially, you could take out 20 people with one clip. It's just incredible with this weapon. Now for the fourth attachment, I like to run the GI Mini Reflex because it's the cleanest optic in the entire game, in my opinion, for this weapon specifically, and I honestly do not like the iron sights. The EBR 14, aka the M14, is a gun where you have to be pinpoint accurate. You want to land a chest or preferably a headshot to get that one-shot kill, and that's going to be a lot easier to do when you guys are running the GI Mini Reflex. Now finally, we're running the FSS Raider Chassis Elite Stock, which just does a lot for this gun. Pretty much transforms this to make it on par with a lot of assault rifles. You're going to get increased aim down sight speed, increased aim walking movement speed, as well as increased sprint to fire speed. Overall, a fantastic attachment and something that you guys should always run on the EBR 14. Just makes it a little bit more forgiving to use, and because it's a specialist class setup, the MP5, the perks, the lethals, and the tacticals are all going to be the same. If you guys are playing on a map like Euphrates Bridge, or maybe even Graston Raid Headquarters or Dom, we need to lock down a position and pick enemies off from from a long distance, this is the class that I highly recommend you guys going ahead and using. You can attack enemies literally close range, medium range, long range, get one-shot kills, and it's just overall an amazing class setup. Now, if you guys do not like running specialist, I got you guys covered with a couple of nuke class setups or class setups you guys can use if you guys typically just want to increase your KD and just dominate a lobby. Now, we're gonna using the M4A1 again, but we're gonna have to mix up the attachments, change it up a bit because we're not running specialist and we're not using overkill. Now, for the M4, I'm actually running the monolith suppressor on this weapon, sound suppression and damage range. It's self-explanatory. This is the best muzzle to use on the M4. It just complements this weapon's playstyle and makes it a lot better. Now, for the barrel, again, we're still gonna be running the stock M16 Grenadier barrel, increased damage range, increased build velocity, as well as increased recoil control. The absolute best barrel to use on the M4, allows us to have literally no recoil at any ranges, and overall the best barrel to run on this weapon. Now, for the underbarrel, I actually went ahead and put on the commando foregrip instead because we want to have increased recoil stabilization as well as aiming stability, so we can iron out that recoil pattern, making this weapon an absolute laser, and I mean an absolute laser at long ranges. This gun has zero recoil. Now, for the fourth attachment, we're gonna be running the 60 round magazine. Just like before, this is just an overall satisfying and makes the weapon a lot easier to use. You can take out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time without accident reload, and overall I think it's the best ammunition type to run on the M4. And then finally we have the TAC laser. Now, the TAC laser is seriously, and I mean seriously, underrated here in Modern Warfare. It's going to allow us to have increased aim down sight speed, increased aiming stability, as well as increased aim walking steadiness. This is pretty much a stippled grip tape on steroids, but without the drawbacks. Now, I've been watching all of my kill cams that I do get killed with the TAC laser, and I have yet to see the laser actually show up, so I'm going to continue running this on all of my low recoil but fast killing assault rifles. It is absolutely amazing. I recommend you guys going ahead and equipping the TAC laser immediately on a majority of your class setups, especially if you guys are not running specialist. Now, since I'm not running specialist, I do have the Renetti pistol, and go ahead and show you guys the attachments I'm running on the Renetti. And for the perks, I actually have to mix this up a bit. I'm running EOD, Ghost, as well as Tracker. Obviously, having Ghost on is important if you guys want to stay off the mini map so you guys can flank accordingly, and Tracker does help you guys out because you can find where enemies are camping at, and you can judge the spawns when you guys are actually in the spawn. And the biggest benefit to Tracker is it actually hides the death skull from enemies you kill, so you're essentially a phantom, a ghost in their spawn, which is super helpful. And I've actually swapped out my lethal to the proximity mine because I feel like this is a lot better to use when you're not running specialists, because you're typically not going to be running and gunning as much, so having a C4 is not as necessary. That's going to be my first nuke class, and it's going to be with the M4A1, a solid setup to use if you guys do not like running specialist here in Modern Warfare. Now, for my second nuke class, it's going to be the Grau 5.56. Now, this gun is still amazing even after the tweaks. It's one of the best ARs in the entire game, arguably the best AR in the entire game. Now, I have the monolith suppressor on, again, self-explanatory. It just complements this weapon perfectly, and honestly the only logical muzzle to run on the Grau. And for the barrel, I'm running the Tempest 26.4 Archangel barrel. This is going to add damage range, bullet velocity, as well as recoil control. This is overall going to reduce the Grau's recoil drastically, making this an absolute laser over long ranges, and in my opinion the absolute best barrel to run on this weapon. Now, again, I'm running the commando foregrip so I can have recoil stabilization and aiming stability. I want to completely iron out the recoil pattern with the Grau, making it a laser at longer ranges, and I'm still going to be running the 60 round magazine on this weapon. This is pretty much an M4A1 class setup copied and pasted onto the Grau. Overall, just fantastic. It has the same characteristics. I can take out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time without actually having to reload, and the 60 round magazine just works perfect on this weapon. And then again, I'm running the TAC laser, increased aim down sight speed, increased aiming stability, as well as increased aim walking steadiness. Overall, a fantastic attachment to run on the Grau. just like the M4A1, just going to be a change of pace if you guys prefer this weapon more over the M4. Now everything else is going to be the same again because we're not running specialist. Now for my third new class, we're looking at the CR56A Max, aka the Galil. This is a AK-47 replacement. I highly recommend you guys going ahead and checking this weapon out. It is a melt machine, and we're gonna have a similar class setup as my M4 and the Grau. Modic suppressor. We're also running the XRK Zodiac S440 barrel. It's gonna add damage range, bullet velocity, as well as recoil control. In my opinion, this is the absolute best barrel to run on the CR56A Max, aka the Galil, because it's going to make this weapon's vertical recoil pretty much non-existent. For the third attachment, we're running the Commando foregrip, so I can iron out that recoil pattern. Recoil stabilization, aiming stability, the best underbarrel to use, especially if you guys are running a max barrel on any gun in this game. We're also going to be running the 45 round magazine, again, so I can take out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time without reloading. Just a more forgiving attachment on this gun. The fire rate is significantly high, so we're going to have to run the 45 round magazine. And then also we're running the tac laser, which is incredible, which also adds increased aim down sight speed, aiming stability, as well as aim walking steadiness. Just a fantastic attachment to use on the CR56A Max. I highly recommend you guys going ahead and using this immediately on this weapon. Now we're going to be looking at some rushing class setups. These are some perfect setups to use if you guys do not like to run specialists when running and gunning, but still want to get streaks and go for your first nuke, or simply just trying to increase your KD. Let's check it out. So for the MP5, we're going to be using it with the barrel. We're not going to run a muzzle, and the barrel is going to be the monolithic integral suppressor. This is going to add sound suppression as well as bullet velocity, so you guys can run around in the enemy spawn without being hurt nearly as often, and you're going to have increased bullet velocity, which makes this weapon feel like it's killing a lot faster. Overall, the absolute best barrel to run on the MP5, regardless of the class setup situation. Now for the second attachment, we're running the Merc foregrip. Again, this is going to add recoil control as well as hipfire accuracy. The MP5's hipfire is absolutely incredible, so obviously having a Merc foregrip is going to complement that a lot more. And if you guys did challenge enemies at a medium to long range, the recoil control can help you guys out a lot easier with that. Now for the third attachment, we're running the 45 round magazine. This is better than the 10mm round by a land shot because you're able to take out more enemies in a single clip. So obviously running and gunning is going to be a lot easier. Going ahead and mopping up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time, very easy with this weapon, and it's going to still share that 9mm ammo, which does come in handy in future situations. Now for the fourth attachment, we're also running the stippled grip tape on this gun. Increased aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed. It's self-explanatory. One of the best attachments to run on any SMG that you're going to be running and gunning with. And then finally, we're running the F-TAC collapsible stock for additional movement speed as well as additional aim down sight speed. Overall, a fantastic attachment to run on the MP5. And because we are actually running the Renetti pistol with fully loaded, we're actually going to be getting fully loaded on the MP5 class setup as well. So essentially we have a 7 attachment MP5 because we have a suppressor, a barrel, an underbarrel, an ammunition type, a rear grip, a stock, and a perk. Just overall a fantastic beast class that you guys should definitely check out if you guys are trying to run and gun and still drop some streaks on the enemy team. Now for the second rush class setup, we're using the Uzi, which is a dangerously underrated SMG, especially if you set up the class properly. Let's go ahead and see what makes this weapon so good. So for the Uzi, we're running the Malik suppressor. In my opinion, is the best muzzle run on this weapon. We're going to get sound suppression as well as damage range. Pretty much self-explanatory why you would run this on any SMG class setup. For the barrel, we're running the 16.5 inch factory carbine barrel, increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, as well as increased recoil control. This is going to reduce the vertical recoil with this weapon significantly, so you can actually challenge players across the map, believe it or not, with this weapon. And overall, it's, in my opinion, the absolute best barrel to use on the Uzi. For the third attachment, we're running the Merc foregrip. Just like any other SMG, it's going to give us recoil control as well as hip fire accuracy. And the Uzi hip fire is disgusting. here in Modern Warfare, so I recommend you guys going ahead and using this on all of your Uzi setups. Now for the fourth attachment, this is mandatory. The .41 AE 32 round magazine, gonna add damage as well as range, making this weapon a 2-shot kill to the head. It's disgusting, man. This gun can outgun a lot of the ARs when you guys have this ammunition type equipped. And then finally, we're running the stippled grip tape. Again, self-explanatory. Like any other SMG class setup, we want to have increased aim down sight speed as well as increased sprint to fire speed, so we can run and gun a lot easier when gunfights, increase our KD, and just maybe get yourself your first nuke. Now for the third rush class, we're going to be checking out the MP7, which honestly, this SMG has grown on me a lot here in Modern Warfare. I really do like using the MP7 because of these attachments. Moloch suppressor, again, pretty much self-explanatory, sound suppression and damage range. The only logical attachment to run in the muzzle category, I run the FSS Recon barrel, which adds damage range, bullet velocity as well as recoil control, making this weapon an absolute laser at longer ranges, no recoil at all. And honestly, this is the best barrel to use because you actually don't have to run an underbarrel with this weapon because it has literally no recoil, and the hipfire accuracy is already incredible without it, so we can have a free up attachment slot. Now for the third attachment, I'm running the 60 round magazine. The MP7 has a ridiculously fast fire rate, and on top of that, with a no recoil weapon, 60 round magazine, it just works out really well, and I really do like running the 60 round on this gun. You can take out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 enemies at a single time with this weapon with the 60 round magazine. Now for the fourth attachment, again, stippled grip tape, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, the only logical rear grip to run on an SMG. And I also have on fully loaded because this gun does burn through ammo a lot. I want to run my MP7 from kill 1 all the way to kill 30 until I get my nuke, and that's exactly how I like to set up my MP7 class. Now we're looking at a DLC weapon now. Now the Fin LMG is an absolute monster. Let me go ahead and show you guys exactly what I like to run on this gun, man. This gun just destroys. It's a specialist class setup, so I like to run the lightweight suppressor because honestly, this gun dominates at mid-range. I do not want to have an attachment that's going to slow down its aim down sight speed, so this is going to be the best muzzle in my opinion to run on the Fin LMG. Now for the barrel, running the XRK long shot adverse barrel, which is going to add damage range, bullet velocity as well as fire rate. This gun shoots ridiculously fast, and it is an absolute melt machine, and I recommend you guys going ahead and checking this out immediately in Modern Warfare. You're not going to forget it, man. This is a fantastic attachment on this weapon. Literally could just destroy people at mid-range with ease. Now for the underbarrel, running the Merc for recoil control, hip fire accuracy, as well as additional movement speed that it does add secretly. And honestly, having the recoil control is really helpful on this gun. It's gonna make this a lot easier to use at mid ranges, which this weapon does dominate, and I really mean dominate at. And that's exactly why we're selecting this on our attachment. And for the fourth attachment, we have the 5.56 NATO 100 round belts, because this gun has a ridiculously high fire rate. Having 100 round is like having a 30 round magazine in an assault rifle. This just works well with this gun, and you can take out a lot of enemies. Literally take out the whole team in 10v10. It's 10 players, one clip, it's one belt. This is ridiculously good and ridiculously effective on this weapon. And then finally, we're running the no stock attachment because this is an LMG. I want to bump up that mobility a lot more, so we're gonna have increased movement speed as well as increased aim down sight speed, overall making this weapon an absolute monster. And that's it. Those are the 10 best class setups you can use after the new update here in Modern Warfare. Now, if there are 3 setups I want you guys to check out if you guys are still trying to get your first nuke or to increase your KD ratio, it's 100% going to be this Uzi class setup, which is overall one of the best SMGs in the entire game. I'm also going to recommend you guys going ahead and checking out this M4A1 setup, which is going to be one of the best guns to use if you're trying to get a nuke in Modern Warfare. And then finally, I want you guys to check out this Overkill M4 MP5 class setup. This is hands down my new favorite class setup in the entire game. It works, it's absolutely incredible, and you can literally take enemies out at whatever range. It's just that good. Hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you guys did and want to see any more best class setups, best settings, tips and tricks, or any more gameplay breakdowns where I break down and analyze my gameplay, or potentially break down and analyze your gameplay to help you guys improve. Make sure you guys absolutely smash the button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and also turn on those post notifications. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video. Deuces.